Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about how the Teen Titans actually exist in the DCAU, and it was just like a quick flyby line that a lot of people over the years have probably forgotten about, but others have not. So the question is, if Teen Titans exist in the universe connected to that of Batman the Animated Series and New Adventures, Superman, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and Static Shock, along with the Zeta Project, who exactly made up the roster? Because they were never ever shown, and it's one of those things I wish to God they would have left those Easter eggs out because of the series, because it's kind of like, or universe I should say, because it's mind-blowing now. However, I am going to attempt to decipher and see who exactly made the roster and who most likely probably never joined the team. There aren't that many young superheroes in this universe, so it's a small list, but there are most people who would be considered for it, but there's something that eliminates them. And once again, I just kind of wish this Easter egg was never brought up, because it just makes fans go, well, who is it? Who is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it sucks, man. So the Teen Titans were a group of superheroes that were the sidekicks of the legendary heroes and stuff. You had Robin, who was the partner of Batman, Wonder Girl, partner to that of Wonder Woman, Speedy, who was the partner to that of Green Arrow, and Kid Flash, the partner of that of Flash, just like how Aqua Lad was the partner to that of Aquaman. So now, January of 2003. Oh man, what a good time to be a comic book fan. Oh man. Anyways, the Teen Titans television series debuted. I remember it came on at night and I absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. But we must excuse this group because this group is not part of the DCAU. It's its own separate universe. A universe where Robin left Batman as a teen and never went back. But in Batman the Animated Series, Robin didn't leave Batman until he was an adult. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Static Shock show, the one that stated that Robin is with the Titans. This episode debuted in the second season of Static Shock on July of 2003. So just a couple of months after the Teen Titans show debuted. And so most likely they just wanted to throw a nod to like the show, because Bruce Timm also worked as a producer on Static Shock, and a lot of the people like Alan Burnett was the one who created this show, and he used to work on Batman the Animated Series and other stuff. So it was a nice way for friends just to give a nod and stuff like that, right? Because in the Static Shock episode, like it's the one where Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are wreaking havoc, and Static literally asks Batman, like, hey, where's Robin? He's all like, with the Titans. Don't worry, you'll meet them soon enough, or meet them later, or something like that. And Batman's wearing the New Adventures of Batman, costume. Now keep in mind, because Batman costumes are very, very important. The Bruce Timm Batman will wear a total of two when meeting Static. And then of course there's also that Batman Beyond one. Now, we've already eliminated the Teen Titan television show because they apparently just are not part of this universe. We must also eliminate that of Dick Grayson, the original Robin. See, when Robin debuted in Batman the Animated Series in season 1, he was around the age of 18 or 19 and he was in college. He tells Bruce in the second season in Robin's Reckoning that, since he's in college now, he doesn't get time for this much no more because he wants to go out on patrol with Bruce, but Bruce will not let him because he's going after Tony Zuko, the guy who murdered Robin's parents. And so if he's in college and he doesn't have much time for this no more, then, he apparently also can't be a Teen Titan, which he'll have to be like a Titan and drop the teen and everything. In the New Adventures of Batman, Robin shows back up in the pilot episode towards the end. He looks older, he sounds older, and he has a mullet. In the flashback episode in that same series, we see that he is still Robin, still in college, even on his graduation day. So, most people graduate college, if you go directly after high school, around 21, 22. Also, in the episode where Batman got married to one of Poison Ivy's clone type people, we can see that Dick is drinking a mug of beer. And so he would have to be around the age of 21 because that's the legal age of drinking. And Bruce is all about the rules. He doesn't like to break the rules. So even if Nightwing is an adult, I doubt he's going to let him drink alcohol in front of him, and especially around other people and stuff. So it's a possibility, maybe, that in his teen years he formed the Teen Titans, but that's highly unlikely because of the simple fact, and the reason why he's also eliminated is because in Batman the Animated Series at that time of the creation of that show, Batman and Robin and Batgirl were the only heroes in their universe. It was a standalone thing at that time. Batman wouldn't start crossing over with people until the world finest movie when he crossed over with Superman. In the Superman series, this is when we meet other heroes, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and people like that. Oh, Steel and stuff. So we must keep in mind that at that time, this was a solo thing, and when he was a teen and away at college, he didn't have time for the Teen Titans because they simply did not exist. We will also have to eliminate Wally West the Flash. We first meet him in the Superman series, and then we later meet him in the Justice League series. Now, since Bruce Timm loves his comic books and he likes to keep slightly close to the vest, but also make some alterations, we have to assume that this Wally West is around the same age as that of Dick Grayson. And when we see him in the Justice League series, he is in fact an adult, a young adult and everything. And see, Dick and Wally and them, they were some of the founding members in the comics. So, since this Batman did not meet the Flash until Justice League many years after the New Adventures, then most likely Dick and Wally never met. Now, later on, we have to keep in mind this version of the Flash is the nephew of Barry Allen and Iris West. That's very important to keep in mind for much later. We must also eliminate that of Aquaman's kids. Aquaman didn't show up until Superman and then later Justice League. And Aquaman had 2 kids. Arthur Jr. in the Justice League series as a baby, and that of Aqua Girl, a young adult around in her early 20s in the Batman Beyond series. Batman Beyond is set 80 years after Batman the Animated Series. And in that version, Aquaman is missing. And so there's nothing that suggests that she has longevity. So she would have to be slightly older than that of Terry McGinnis, who was a teenager in the future. So there's no way that these two are going to be in the Teen Titans. We can also rule out that of Supergirl, who didn't show up until the Superman cartoon. And she's around like a teenager or so who hangs out with Barbara. She might be a young teenager, maybe 16, 17, 18, 19, like that. Barbara by this time is an adult and is no longer in college. And so, like, I just really don't see her hanging out with a bunch of teenagers and stuff like that. Plus, she did go missing for a couple of episodes, so there's really no telling, what she was doing. But I know Superman really didn't like her patrolling the streets without him and stuff like that. So we can rule that out because he just didn't want her to do superhero type stuff and wanted her to be like a normal person. And last, we must also eliminate that of Speedy. Speedy is really interesting in the Justice League series. He was in Justice League Unlimited. And this is when Green Arrow showed up. Now, what makes him interesting is that we never see him all throughout the Justice League Unlimited series until a very special episode in season 2. There, Green Arrow needed help, and the Justice League decided to send in some reserve members. And Green Arrow is not happy because he's all like, my old partner Speedy. And so these two are shown to have problems and stuff, similar to Batman and Robin. Now, this Speedy appears to be a young adult, around 18, 19, or maybe slightly older than that. He has a mature voice and stuff like that. And if, Bruce Timm likes to stick somewhat close to that of the comics, he would have to be around the same age as that of the Flash and Nightwing and stuff. Now, what's crazy about this is that the person who's voicing him is the same Speedy from the Teen Titans animated series. They also share a very similar design and everything. So most likely this is just a nice little Easter egg and stuff like that. Something to make the fans go wild and everything. So who exactly could be on this roster? Well, like I said before, Bruce Timm likes to keep it somewhat close to the vest, but likes to make altercations for certain heroes that he likes, certain heroes that do not make sense, and also diversity and stuff. In the Justice League series, first in the Batman Beyond Justice League, he had Aqua Girl. But when he created his Justice League series, he realized something. It would be kind of silly to have Aquaman fight alongside the Justice League, because how many water battles are going to happen, And so he decided to swap him out with Hawk Girl. Plus, he likes Hawk Girl a heck of a lot more. And it added that of diversity. The only confirmed member that we know of is that of Tim Drake, the second Robin in this universe. He's an amalgamation of all the Robins. And so we have confirmation from that of Batman that he is with the Titans and stuff. Now, the Batman suits must come in question here. Tim Drake met a Batman in the New Adventures in the dark gray suit. Then in Justice League, Batman had a new costume, and Tim Drake did not show up. Now, we know from Return of Batman, the Joker corrupted him, and that he tried to do the superhero thing on his own for a while with like Bruce and them, and then just went off on his own. Now, when we first meet that of Static meeting Batman in the crossovers and stuff, they're going to fight the Joker. And Bruce and Tim get along very well. Then, in the second appearance, Robin is no longer there because he's with the Titans. In the third appearance, when they do the Batman Beyond thing, Tim Drake has shown back up, but him and Bruce do not get along that well because Tim is very irritated with Bruce. Static's all like, give him some slack, you have a mentor, wish he had that, blah, blah, stuff like that. And then, he went into the future and he saw grumpy old Bruce and realized why the Robins don't really like Bruce that much no more, because he's very stern and very mean. Then the next time Static crossed over was the Justice League cartoon, where Robin just doesn't show up in that series except for like a cameo, but it's an alternate future and stuff. Now, when it comes to that of Static, when it comes to Justice League and New Adventures, and every time they bring back that version of Batman, they have always swapping his costume for whatever series is for, which gets very, very, very confusing. So, we can assume that the first time they crossed over, Tim and Bruce got along very well, but then, like when he was with the Titans, most likely these are the events after Return of the Joker, when we get that flashback and Tim got messed up in the head. Barbara said that Tim, was still hanging with her and Bruce doing the hero thing, but then Bruce didn't want him to do it, and then Robin said he's going to do it on his own and make a path for himself. So most likely, he probably got fed up with Bruce, went to the Titans, and then at some point in time came back to Bruce. And this is when he was all grumpy towards Bruce and Static's all like, give him some slack and everything. One possibility is Wonder Girl, the Cassandra one. I think that's her name, or Cassie, or something like that. It's been a while since I looked in the Wikipedia and stuff. But anyway, she actually shows up in this universe in the weirdest cameo ever. In the Justice League series, Wonder Woman was trying to save her. I think there was like a storm outside or something like that. And then she's all like, you're safe now, sister. And the girl's all like, don't call me your sister. And then she went off to her mom. Now, Wonder Woman calls every woman sister. But I didn't know who she was at that time until I looked online. And yes, she is technically Wonder Girl, just not Wonder Girl yet. She's just a little kid. Since Justice League takes place a few years after that of the New Adventures and everything, and they always swapping back and forth with the costumes whenever they have a Static crossover, it is likely at some point, maybe when she gets slightly older and everything, she could be a potential Titan and everything, because they seem to be going more with the Young Justice roster when it comes to this version of Teen Titans. And in the Justice League show, she's around 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9-ish and everything. So it wouldn't take a few more years for her to be a teen and join the Teen Titans. That is a possibility. Another possibility, and it's a bit of a stretch, but maybe a version of an Aqua lad. Think about it. Aquaman shows up in Superman. He's established in the future. He has a daughter who's part of the Justice League, and he has a young son in the Justice League Unlimited series. So most likely he probably has an Aqua Lad and everything, a sidekick that we just never met on screen. But here's the problem. He would have to be around Dick and Wally's age unless Bruce Timm were to change up his age and everything. Or it can be an amalgamation of like Aqua Lad. That is what he did with Black Manta when they weren't allowed to use the rights. So there is the possibility that like there's an Aqua Lad out there somewhere and that he could possibly be like, you know, a Titan and stuff. Another stretch is Bart Allen and everything. See, the Flash in the Justice League series is Wally West. He's an adult. And in Justice League Unlimited, I think it was like Flash Appreciation Day or something like that. And he tells the league, you know, even my uncle's running in and everything. Now, this flew over my head because I didn't know the lineage at that time. But forget everything you know about the CW Flash show. In the comics, Wally West and Iris West are like nephew and aunt, not brother and sister like in the CW show. And she's married to Barry. So Barry will have to be Wally's uncle, which means if those two exist in this universe off screen, then at some point there's a little Bart somewhere running around, and there's a possibility that he is part of the Teen Titans. That's really all I can think of because of the simple fact I just don't know how to tie in Beast Boy, Starfire, and Cyborg into the DCAU. So, yeah, it is interesting that they do exist. I wish to God when they started doing those animated movies, they could have confirmed this a heck of a lot more, but sadly they did not. And, you know, it is quite interesting and stuff to think that, hey, the Titans exist in the DCAU. It's just we've never got to see them except for one of their members. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.